Okay, welcome to another Money Morning Routine, which is pretty much going to be a full budget breakdown because I closed out my budget today. I got a lot of questions yesterday why I'm closing out my budget early since we still technically still have one more day this month, and what determines when I did close out early. The reason being is because tomorrow's Saturday. Now, I usually would close out my budget the last day of the month. However, banks are closed tomorrow, so I would really like to go down and pull out cash, get my paycheck, and do all that before the weekend starts. So that's kind of what determined why I closed out my budget one day early this month. So first, before I even close out my budget, the number one thing I have to do is make sure all of my expense trackers, my spending is completely 100% updated. Nothing going on as far as my spending left. It's all done. It's all updated and completed. Once that's done, then I can just add up my colors. This is why I use the highlighter method when I'm tracking my spending. I literally go through and, okay, add up all the purple. Well, that's my gas and car. I add up all the bright blue. Okay, that's the holiday. I add up all the light blue. Okay, that's my food. So I do that. And once I get that done, I put it right here on my Where Did My Money Go monthly budget category breakdown. Here's my colors. Here's me adding it up. Now, I do set myself a budget every single month. And so if we look at this, my total monthly inflow for the month was $8,881. Keep in mind, my inflow is not the same as my income. My income is my earned income. This is the paycheck I receive. But there are other things that come into my life that I'm going to spend outside of just my earned income. One, starting balance. What money was left in my checking account when I started my tracking period for August? Well, it was $1,219. Awesome. So I have that I could spend possibly. I have my earned income. Now, other income, this is money I get from Christopher. It could also mean that I sold some stuff on Macari. I also count that as other income. And then savings used. I had savings in my life that I use, so I have to track that because I'm spending it somewhere in my budget. So my budget limits have been set. I wrote down how much I spent, and I can tell whether I'm under or over budget for my spending plan. So I was over in baby by a little bit. I spent some money at Costco that wasn't in my spending plan. I was over in food. I remember I took $50 from my miscellaneous cash envelope to cover some food. I was under in fun and entertainment. So I was under gas and car, under in beauty, spent a little more in holiday than was in my budget, under in household, over in James because we had back to school expenses that I had the sinking fund for it. I just didn't have it in my budget. So I left it as is there. And then under in pets, and I saved exactly my planned amount for savings. So I was only off by $1 from my inflow from my expenses, which is great. So that's my full monthly budget category breakdown. Now, the next worksheet we look at is the monthly debt and savings breakdown. Now, I don't have debt, I have investments, so I track my investments rather than debt, and then my savings. So I invested 9% of my inflow and 24% of my income for savings. Now, you might be wondering what the difference is between inflow and income. Income is only truly my earned income and the starting balance and other income. This does not include savings used because you're not going to be saving any savings used. So I have $700 a month that I invest toward our joint account and $100 towards my individual brokerage investment account. These are things outside of retirement. Retirement is taken out of my paycheck. And so I max out both a Roth and a 401k. So those are done through my paycheck, which is why you're not seeing it here. And then as far as savings, most of it was sinking funds. So planning for the future for those expenses I know are coming up, and then my $5 challenge. Now, the last worksheet I fill out for closing out my budget is a monthly spending comparison. Now, my income went up by $1,000 or so. I had back to school. I had a lot of holiday spending this month. If you compare August to July, I did not hit one of my goals. One of my goals was to keep under the same amount that I spent in food. That's kind of the short-term goal I gave myself. I was over by $75 of that goal. Totally fine. So if it's in red, I spent more in August than I did in July. And if it's in green, I spent less than. Obviously, insurance was a big one because I paid for my car insurance. Our 6-month renewal was up for both of our cars, so that was a big one. I also spent more in James because we had back to school expenses. So, there are only out of the 3 that I went over from last month, I have reasons. I know why, and I think that's the most important thing is awareness. So overall, August, not too bad. You can see for September, I'm 100% ready. I have my cash teller slip ready to go down the bank. I labeled all of my different envelopes, so those are ready to go. I'm going back to doing all the cash envelopes for my variable spending, because remember, when you close out your budget for 1 month, you are essentially starting a new tracking period for the new month. So when we look at August and we go back to my expense trackers for August, this balance right here on my checking account, this is my ending balance for August. Yes, in my checking account, but this is also my starting balance for September. Your starting balance is what you have the day you start your new tracking period. Well, today I closed out August. Today I'm starting my new tracking period, my new budget for September. So that's what the 1,241. So if we go to my expense trackers in September, when I write down my checking account, my starting balance right here, right now, today, and when I do this, so for my checking account, my starting balance for September is what I have going on right here on my checking account. Today, right now, at this moment, I have $1,241.73 in my checking account. So that's what I'm going to put for my starting balance. So now, and then I always do over here, this is my cash. I'm not rolling over any cash, so my starting balance is 0. So now what happened is you just prepped your expense trackers for September. They're done. You have your starting balance, you have your checking account, you have your cash. And then if you have spent on a credit card, I would also have one for a credit card. So what I like to do, instead of putting all my transactions all on one expense tracker, I like using different expense trackers for different areas of money movement in my life. So cash is an area of money movement. It's all about how I spend my money. I spend in cash. I spend in checking. I don't typically use my credit card. I do more of that on my business spending. So, and that's how we earn the rewards, is through my business spending. So this is my full money morning routine, but it's also my full budget recap for August.